Hey, what's going on, ADPI Nation? Kevin Brenner here, host of the Active Duty Passive Income Podcast. And today we are joined by special guest Kaitlyn McKay, who this episode's out there for all the military spouses, all the military families out there, all the maybe active military members who are wondering, hey, how could I get my significant other, spouse, partner, whatever, on board in my investing dreams and goals, and what those steps look like. And Kaitlyn's going to be joining us, and she's going to be talking about how she and her spouse were able to get on board and how much further they were able to go together, as opposed to kind of, one person on board and one person kind of like not 100% there yet. So Kaitlyn, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's start way back. Let's rewind the clock and start way back, and talk about your military background or your spouse's military background and kind of how you even got into the thought process of just financial independence and pursuing that dream. What does that story look like?
Awesome. So my husband, he enlisted when he was 17 years old. He did National Guard, and then he eventually, throughout college, went and commissioned as an officer. And I'm sorry, I don't know all the terms perfectly, so I'm probably going to botch half of them. So, but financial journey for us kind of started in college because I grew up I did summer sales during my college, and I would make good money and then spend it all. And I had no type of financial education. I was terrible. And then my husband was like, hey, like, let's start saving. Let's do Dave Ramsey. Let's do this. And so we started doing that. Anyway, with the military side, once he commissioned, we headed over to Fort Benning, Georgia, and he's a captain now here in South Carolina at Fort Jackson, and that's kind of where we're at now. So
That's awesome. So it's interesting because we hear, kind of there's people in our community who are like, Dave Ramsey is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then other people are like, Dave Ramsey says zero leverage, never. How can you scale? How can you grow? How can he's kind of like anti-real estate. So from your perspective, well, he's not anti-real estate, he's anti-leverage. From your perspective and you going through as far as setting a baseline of like getting yourself out of debt or whatever you're willing to share at this point, like
yeah.
how did you find kind of Dave Ramsey to get you to like level one? I'm just curious your opinion.
Yeah, so like we always had good money because of summer sales. We'd always have like, anywhere from 20 to 40,000 just hanging out in the bank account, but literally doing nothing. Like we just
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything with it once we became savers. Before that, it was like paycheck to paycheck for me. Once we became savers, we had all this money sitting there and we're like, okay, we should invest it. So we did some in our Roth IRA, TSP, and then everyone around us was doing real estate. And I was like, oh, I'm too scared. I don't want to do that. And so I didn't ever jump into it. But now, fast forward, about 7 years, I'm thinking, my heck, we've got our ducks in a row. We've done the Dave Ramsey. Let's go hit Kiyosaki. Let's get over there. Let's start
Mm-hmm.
investing. Let's get into it. And so we're a little late to the party. I'm 30 years old, and we have our first investment property, and we're working on our second. But I think Dave Ramsey is good to get you out of debt, to get you on track. But if you want to accelerate your growth, real estate's the only way. If you want to be
Yeah.
a millionaire in your 30s and 40s, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and yeah, I 100% agree with you there on kind of, I think the underlying theme here that we're kind of dancing around is if you want to excel, then go and take a course, hire a coach, do something like go and work with someone who's done what you've done before, like who has done or is doing what you want to do and what's on your vision, and like stop trying to figure out everything by yourself, because that like method just doesn't work. Fear takes over, it immobilizes us. We are constantly in our heads telling ourselves why this thing won't work. That whatever we're trying to do, whether it's real estate, I mean, you alluded to it there. You were like, well, a lot of people in my circle were into real estate, but too scared. I don't want to do that. Like, talk to me about that fear and do you have any regrets about not getting in sooner?
My heck, I could give you a list because when we were living in this house back in 2015 in Utah, we could have bought the threeplex we were living in with the VA loan, but I was too scared to even think about that as a possibility. Fast forward today, we could have sold that for making a profit of like 150,000 minimum right now. And so, yes, I definitely regret it. And I know it's because my circle of friends, we're all kind of at the same level as me. We're all kind of like, maybe we'll buy it, maybe we'll do this. But like you said, finding a group, finding a mentorship, even if it costs a little bit of money, is going to accelerate you 10x. And I didn't realize that. And so depending on what your passion is, you need a group, you need a community, or you will not accelerate.
Yeah, and the thing that yeah, I'm gonna go on a what's the word, rant here. The thing that really like grinds my gears about all of this is the way the college education system in America is set up. The way the higher education system in America is, hey, give us $40,000 a year and we're gonna get you a good job with a good salary. Like that's the promise. Like that's the ultimate promise, right? Go to school, get a degree, get um, pretty much, get qualified, if you will, and then you can go and get a job that might get you, 50, 60, 70 grand, whatever that number is, right? But like when people, go out and pay for education on a specific topic, in a mentorship or a class or a course or whatever, they're kind of seen as like pariahs. They're like, oh God, why would you, like their friends, like, why would you do that? But like, meanwhile, these people are like in hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt. Like it's just so backwards in this country. And it's so crazy to think like how we are indoctrinated. Like this is the way to go. Like this is the way to be. The only way to succeed is to go to college and get a degree. And now I feel like, Kaitlyn, I'm curious your opinion. Now I feel like it's like the only way to go is not only just get a college degree, but you better get a master's degree. If you don't have a master's degree, you're not going to be marketable and all this stuff. And people are in, like, I have friends, like really close friends of mine that are in, they have their doctors and everything like that, but they are $500,000 in college debt. That is crazy to me. Crazy. And that debt is the biggest, fattest liability. It is not an asset. It's not like, good debt like we talk about in real estate. So I'm going to open this up to you, like, rant with me here, girl.
I've got something to add. Like, and not
Let's
only
go.
that, like these people, they'll get these degrees, super awesome. You now have got this awesome degree, but you can't even market yourself to get a job. Like, what? Like, you just went to law school. Awesome. You're a lawyer, but you're making 5 grand more than you were as a nurse. Like, what? No, you got a degree. You've also got to learn how to update that resume, that cover letter. You need to be marketable. You need to be good in interviews. Like there's more things. Should some degrees be done? Yes. Like if you're going to become a surgeon, yeah, please get your schooling done. But like people like me who are in sales, business, it's who you know, it's who you're connecting with, it's your environment if you want to grow. So it's just kind of owning your craft and accelerating in whatever form that might be. It doesn't have to just be this path in college.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. It's so multidimensional, how people find success and how people quote unquote make it in America, right? But like I think what we're talking about here is like kind of the traditional path is do good in high school, go to college, whatever, enter corporate America and climb the corporate ladder. Like that's the tried and true path. But what we're, on this podcast, we're talking about ways to accelerate it and go kind of around and find a different way to do it. So with that in mind, talk to me about this sales and your sales experience and maybe how that helped you kind of start, because I want to talk about this cleaning business you started and kind of just like on a whim and all of that.
Cool. Well, I was working at KFC in college and my life sucked. And I was walking down UVU, my college I went to, and there was a bunch of cute summer sales guys. I was like, ooh, this is a nice hallway to walk down. And one of them was like, hey, do you want to go sell Dish Network door to door? I'm like, kill me. That sounds terrible. They're like, well, we'll take you up to sushi and tell you about it. So I was like, okay, free food. I'm starving. And so went to dinner with them, was like, still not doing it. Went to one of their meetups and I felt like I need to go. I need to try this. So I drove to Kansas City with a bunch of random dudes in a car for however many hours that was. And my first day, they dropped me off at a door knowing this much. And I sold I had one sale that day. It was really hard, but I did it and I got consistent, and it built up the person I am today with that hard work, having to knock doors, having to do something hard and just do it. Like, it wasn't my whole life. I'm not doing that forever, but I'm grateful I did it because I think that work ethic got me going. And obviously after that, I was able to travel, do fun things. I still didn't have the mindset that I should have. I didn't invest anything in my Roth IRA. I was spending it, having fun, traveling. But once I was able to reel that in and have my husband kind of say, hey, you're making money with this other type of sales job, let's start investing it. That was kind of where we harnessed that power. So that's where it all
Wow.
started.
That's awesome. Yeah, you have to put yourself out there. And you mentioned this multiple times before, but I've said it before on this podcast. But if you're listening to our listeners out there, just remember are the five. You are the average of the five people that are around you most. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
the people that you spend your time with. You are that average. So if you are content where you are, that's great. That's awesome. That's cool. But I've known personally that as I advance in business and I level up, net worth and financial and real estate and blah 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 blah, my friend groups are shifting, and sometimes it's hard to let go, not let go, but you don't pay as much attention to those friends who don't want to come with you, if you will. And it sounds kind of like conceited and high and mighty, but at the end of the day, the more like those people that you hang out with, those are the ones that are going to push you. Like if you're have a super tight friend group, and that's awesome, but if they're not pushing you, not just business wise, but socially and like and emotionally and like kind of making you a better person all around, then maybe you shouldn't be hanging out with those people. So, and it's a hard decision to make, but I love how you kind of figured that out and then started doing the door to door and like had this hard thing that you had to do, and it's just really it's honestly it's pretty cool. And I want to talk about the fear aspect because we've been dancing around this issue too, where it's like you had said earlier in the show, you're like, well, I was just too scared to get into real estate. Because we've talked to many people on the podcast who are the people, I don't know how to say this, like the convincers, right? Like they've convinced their spouse to come on board, or they're actively trying to convince their spouse to come on board. In this case, you're wearing the other hat. It seems like your husband was the person who's like, hey, Kaitlyn, like maybe we should try and do this. And you were like, no, I'm scared. I don't want to do that. How are those discussions? Like, can you speak to those emotional discussions and maybe something that clicked? So like people listening to this podcast who might have a more resistant spouse, partner, or whatever, um, like they might be thinking like, man, like I wish I can have that relationship that Kaitlyn and her husband have with regards to finances and real estate. Like, how did that click for you?
So my husband grew up in a family that they taught their kids about saving money, about investing in assets, different things like that. Whereas I grew up kind of with none of that. I grew up with amazing parents who they had 9 kids. We were trying to get by. My dad provided amazing, life for us, but we didn't really get that financial education as much. And so my husband, when he started talking to me about it, saying like, let's do Dave Ramsey, let's do the Roth IRA, let's do the TSP, and then talking about getting an asset, it kind of gave me hope that, what, maybe we can make this jump into having an asset. And that's kind of when I started taking the dive into, I'm going to figure out the deal analysis. I'm going to figure out the spreadsheets, and figure out to see how much we can make from this Airbnb/house that we're doing. Because technically the house we're in, we have house hacked it. And when we've gone on trips, we've actually had the Airbnb money pay for the trips we've gone on. So like, I'm just like, there's a difference in our bank account with an asset. And I wish I would have started this years ago. And I know everyone says that, but like literally, like if you have the VA loan, just freaking use it.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's true.
golden.
So it's safe to say that you getting involved more in the business, or not the business, even just getting involved in the theory of real estate
Yes.
investing, the underwriting that, but for people who, maybe their partners work and they're caregivers, they take care of the children or whatever, like how, how can you, I don't want to say convince, but like, how can you get your spouse on board, and how is it that your husband was able to just bring like, because you can't, obviously you can't make your spouse, partner, whatever, think a certain thing, right? Like you can't like one day they're just going to wake up,
Hmm.
wow, I love underwriting today. Like it's never going to happen if they know nothing about it. So like, how did those conversations go, and what was it that sparked interest personally in you? And maybe someone listening to this can say like, oh, maybe I can have like a sit down conversation with my spouse, and we can work on this together. Was it the togetherness aspect maybe?
I'm honestly, I feel like for me personally, I was, given glimpses of what life could look like through podcasts. And I'd be listening to
Nice.
this while I'd be taking care of, I have 4 kiddos that are 6 and below. And so I'm listening to them all the time and I'm thinking there's a better way. And so when I'm sitting down and talking with my husband saying, hey, there's a life we can create that I didn't even know was possible. And I'm hearing about it. Let's create this together. And so together we basically say, okay, we want to do the house hack. We want to figure this out. And he supported me, when I've joined masterminds, when I've joined groups, he's supported me and we've been able to figure this out together. So I think it is definitely going side by side. It's a partnership. It's not one or the other. It's both of us together figuring it out. And when I figure something out with, hey, I like this house, I'll say, hey, let's look at this together. Let's figure this out together. So, and it's exciting. It's an excitement within the marriage as well. Just like, let's go reach goals higher together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that like kind of power couple aspect that you guys have working together towards a common goal. I mean, it's like the same stuff they teach us in the military, right? About, getting the job done, but it's working together in that team environment. But that team environment doesn't have to end when you leave work. It should be, with your partner, with your spouse, with the people that you love, So that is super super cool, Kaitlyn. I love that insight. And I think the biggest takeaway here is figure out a way. If you're listening to this right now and you're thinking like, God, I just really frustrated because I'm really into this and I'm listening to these podcasts, and I want I wish my spouse or partner was as amped as I am about this right now. I mean, Kaitlyn said it, because maybe listen to a podcast together. Maybe listen to this podcast together. I don't know. Listen to, or other ones or something, or an audiobook or something, but doing something together in the field, I think that's where the passion gets shared. And that's some really great insight. I love that. So with that in mind, Kaitlyn, let's talk about what you and your husband have done together, because I think it's really cool. First, I want to talk about this. Well, okay. So first, you're in South Carolina now, correct?
Yeah. Fort
Okay,
Jackson.
in Fort Jackson. Where did you set up the cleaning company, and how did that just start?
Ooh, so this is so exciting for anybody who's like, I'm in the military. I want to start a side hustle because I saw in our Fort Benning spouses page that everyone's like, I need a cleaner. I need a cleaner. And I saw this one lady's calendar on there and it was like booked. And I was like, dang, that girl's probably making lots of money. And I thought, I don't want to clean houses. But what if I found somebody who can clean houses that I can manage her and make some side income? And so I found somebody who was able to clean houses for $20 an hour. And I started doing a little military maids Facebook page, and we started getting a following. And we started booking our calendar like Monday through Friday. And so it took about 3 months to kind of get a consistent group of people that were booking us. But it's incredible because passively ish for me, it's brought in about $400 to $800 a month. And that's been over the course. We've had this business for about a little over a year. And it's been amazing because I've never cleaned a house personally, but yet that money is coming in from me sending her a calendar and from meeting a need. So in every single duty station, there is something missing. Maybe someone needs more photographers, more whatever. If you can fill that need or find somebody to fill that need, you've just created a side job for yourself. And I just did our taxes on it. We made 7 grand. I made 7 grand personally from passive income from this business this last year. So that's huge. And that could be anybody. Yes, I
Oh.
like that noise.
Yeah. So, but that's so cool. I mean, it's not like we're talking like, oh, I made $700,000 this year or something like that. 7 grand, but it doesn't matter because
I didn't do
you
anything.
exactly you didn't really do anything. You met a need, and that's something that I'm sure you've learned in sales and you've just learned in business. But as entrepreneurs, we are just problem solvers. That's it. It's just, hey, there's a problem. Let me figure out a way to solve it. That is it. So if you can go and apply that solution to, and I love how you branded it military maids, because you went by and you're, it's like, honestly, you're doing the exact same thing that I teach in the Military Short-Term Rental Academy, which is you got to first, before you do anything, identify your ideal client. Who is your ideal client? In this cleaning business case, you were like, well, people on military bases. Okay, how can I find those people? Luckily for me, Facebook did all the work already, and there's literally literally groups of, I don't even know how many, probably hundreds of these spouses pages out there. I don't know, one for each base, right? Is that how it's broken down? So
Yeah.
like, so as many military bases are out there, there's probably a spouse page, and as long as the moderators are cool with it, you can probably go and solicit in there and find some clientele. Don't try that on the ADPI page because you won't get through. We're very protective, but that's because we want to keep our content super clean and educational. But anyway, you met the need, and it's just you're managing the cleaner. So you only have, is it just one cleaner?
And it's just one. And the reason I did it wasn't, the reason I haven't expanded is because it's not my passion in life. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I just wanted to see if I could start a business.
So cool.
I wanted to figure out how to do a spreadsheet. I wanted to figure out how to do the payments. I wanted to figure out how to do a calendar. I called all the cleaners in the area before I started it. And I was like, okay, what are they lacking in? They're all mean when I message them. They're all kind of snooty, like, let me come to your house first and look at it before I'll give you a quote. And I'm like, gosh, that's so invasive. Can you just give me a quote, please? And they were all unfriendly. So I was like, I'm going to kill them with kindness, and I'm going to give people a quote the second they ask for it. And that's where we kind of made a few steps ahead. Now, I'm not going to continue to do this because I have other passions and projects I'm working on that are going to make me a lot more money. I say focus on your passion, but if you need to do a little project to begin and get that excitement going, start it. Get something to light that fire.
Yeah, and you learn about all these different things from CRMs to QuickBooks and accounting, and because you kind of have to wear, as a business owner, you kind of have to wear all the hats, especially if you're, a sole proprietor and you have one employee or one 1099. I mean, it's just two people, but you're making money. So it's like, okay, how can we, how do we make this happen? And you got to wear all those hats, and it's such great practice. It's great reps, just to learn about business. And for our listeners out there, how many hours would you say you spent a week on this when it was, when not
Right.
in the beginning, like when it was like
Oh,
going?
right now I probably spend about 2 hours a month on it.
Wow. Okay. 2 hours a month, guys. 2 hours a month. Is that worth $7,000? I would say yes. I don't have to do the math on that. Yes. But that's the power of being a business owner. I mean, you're compensated based on the size and scale of the problem that you solve. And sure, you might have you're niched down into the Fort Benning area, and you have the one cleaner and all of that, but you're getting it done, and you're solving the problem, and you're providing, you're doing something that the market just isn't solving right now. So I absolutely love that, Kaitlyn. That's such an inspiring story for everyone listening here. And oh, by the way, you did this with 4 children and PCSing to a whole nother installation and everything, right?
Yes, it was a little bit crazy. And I mean, I honestly feel like things kind of just fell into place. And that's a level I'm happy I started at. Like, I feel grateful that I started at that time. But I honestly, looking back, like, I'm glad I started. I'm not sure how to say this. I'm glad I started at that level, but it's better to surround yourself with people who are going to accelerate you even further, because I did something I wasn't passionate about. So it kind of was a pain in the rear end to start at the very beginning. And I'm glad that I did it, but find a group that's going to help you find your passion, because this is something that I enjoyed, but now I'm realizing I want to go work on things that are actually going to bring me joy and fulfillment. That brought some money. It only took me it only cost $50 to get it started, which is awesome. And that's literally all I've put into the business is $50. But finding something that you're actually passionate about as well, too, is what brings you the extra dopamine hits.
Yeah, 100%. And I learned a long time ago that money is not everything. It's more about fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's more about the relationships that you have with the people that you love. That is just paramount in life. And the more you can hone in on those relationships, whether they're personal or business, the money will come and you'll be okay. And that's something that I think gets lost among maybe the non-entrepreneurs or the people kind of just living life every day. But Kaitlyn, this is awesome. So let's talk real estate, because this is kind of a real estate podcast. So you guys, you're at Fort Jackson. So at Benning, were you guys renting, or did you sell the house at Benning?
Oh, heck. We rented on base for 4 years.
Oh,
just
my
pouring
God. Well,
every penny.
Yeah. But you were is that like your Dave Ramsey period where you're kind of getting to square one? Is that period?
No, we were fine, but I was fearful. I was telling my friends, go buy houses, buy houses. They did. I had a friend named Amory buy 3 while we were there. And now she has, I think she could take today she can take $200,000 of equity out of all 3 houses if she wanted to. It's insane. So I was in fear. The people around me were maybe buying one house, maybe tiptoeing. I didn't have a freaking community. I didn't have a group of people that were 10 steps ahead of me. We were all at the same level. So I didn't know how to get out of this place of fear. So we rented in the same house for 4 years. And I regret it. Yes. And I'm just looking forward now because can't go back. But yeah, we rented there for 4 years.
But now you're in the active duty passive income community, and we're here for you. We got you.
Thank you. I need it. I need the love. I need the support. And now we bought this house in in Columbia, South Carolina. And I found the need here. You can't really buy a house here and make a ton renting it out afterwards, just because of how prices are and everything in the market. Sure. And so I looked on Airbnb. I realized, there's a million colleges here. There is the duty station here. So there's a need for Airbnbs. I kind of looked at all the Airbnbs in the area and was like, wow, 90% of these are hideous. What if I found a pretty house, made it look pretty, and got professional pictures? And so I did that. I bought this beautiful house and got it decorated on a budget. I only spent $5,000 to have this entire house decked out. It looks stunning. The pictures look stunning. I paid $150 to have a photographer come out and take professional pictures. And I tell you, every time we post it, because we've only posted it when we've either been out of town and before we technically moved in here. So we had 60 days to move in. We Airbnb'd it out for 30 of those days. And it has been booked 100%. We have not had one vacancy day. And go ahead.
So no, this is incredible, because I just had like a massive brainwave. Because you're absolutely right. You purchase with the VA loan. You have 60 days to move in. You have to move into the house unless you have some sort of extenuating circumstance, right? But you didn't have an extenuating circumstance. But what you guys did was genius. Because you bought with the intention to have a short-term rental, you spent what sounds like the first 30 days getting it decorated, getting it all squared away, getting all this stuff, getting pictures, getting it listed. And then you were able to rent it out for 30 days before moving in. So you're really capitalizing on that 60-day time frame. And then on day 59 or 60, you move in, you're good to go, whatever. Yeah. But that 30 days, that's a month's worth of revenue. And that, it gets your listing. It starts getting you some baseline reviews. Like, that's awesome.
The numbers are exciting. Smart. It's exciting. It was booked out, like I said, every day. It brought in $4,000 and we netted $2,300. And so that gave us the confidence, oh my gosh, when we move from here and it's being a full-time Airbnb, we can look forward to anywhere from $1,700 to $2,300 a month, which is incredible. So it gave us confidence that we can actually do it, because this was terrifying, completely terrifying to do something like this.
Yeah, exactly. And then, there's so much more, and we could dovetail into all things short-term rentals here, but we won't. But there's so much more in ways you can increase revenue by adding additional services within the shared economy, from putting a Turo car out front, there's just so much. I could just, really go off the rails here, but I got to stay on track. So, so you guys have this house, and then you are PCSing now, right? You're PCSing to Alaska, I understand.
Yes, we're going to Anchorage. And so I have been thinking, how can we make this bigger? And so I figured out that the largest type of house you can buy with a VA loan is a 4-plex, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Because if not, I'm going to go buy an 8-plex if you say that's available.
No, four is it. 4 is it, because it's a residential loan, and that's 4 units. Yep.
So I'm stopping at 4. So I started looking into 4-plexes in Alaska. and I found the most beautiful fourplex, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And so we're in contract right now. We're having a lot of hiccups with the seller, but I'm fighting for it. And if this one falls through for whatever reason it might, I will find a fourplex, and we're going to house hack that because I did the numbers on it. And by renting by room, because we're by a military base, so we're going to rent by room, 3 of the rooms, we're going to be living in one of it. So our BH is $2,900, and then between the bedrooms, it'll be $6,000. So it's going to be generating close to $9,000 a month, and we'll be netting around $3,000 to $3,500 a month, which is life changing for us.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, you know, you put this together, and you got 3,000 from that one, and you got the Airbnb going, and you got another, call it 1,500. We're talking $4,500 a month, guys. $4,500 a month. I mean, yeah, that's a significant amount of money. That's almost 60 grand a year that's being added to your family's income. Like that's significant, and it's all about just finding the right property and implementing the right strategies and making it happen. I freaking love that. Well, hopefully you get this quad in Alaska. When are you PCSing?
In June. So
Okay.
we've got a minute before we get there, but we're in the sellers basically saying we're not going to do anything. We're not going to fix anything. So we're kind of in a bit of a scary point right now where I'm having to be courageous. I don't spend money. This total house investment cost was $6,000, like with the little bit of closing costs and our furniture. This is going to be a bigger monster. There's a boiler that's going to need to be changed. There's a roof that's going to need to be changed. All in over the next 6 months, we're going to put, I think, about $40,000 into it. And so I'm thinking, I'm getting creative. How are we going to get $40,000 to be able to put into this? And so, yes, we have a savings. Yes, we have mutual funds. I'm going to have to liquidate mutual funds to be able to put some money into this house. But that's terrifying to spend $40,000 on something that I know is going to work, but it's terrifying to take that jump. I have a scarcity mindset. I've had it my whole life with money. It's always been terrifying. And so I'm shifting my mindset. But luckily with podcasts like this, with different groups giving me that motivation, I can do it. But it's consistently every single day.
Yes, you can. No, but for real, like that's what you need. You need that mindset. You need to, I think everyone's kind of born with a scarcity mindset, to be honest. But shifting that to that abundance mindset, and the one piece of advice I can give you live right now on the show is just trust your numbers. Trust your numbers. Don't get emotional about the deal. Just trust your numbers. Either the numbers work or they don't work. And if they don't work, move on to the next one. There is so much real estate trading every single day in every single market, going from owner to owner, seller to buyer, whatever, constantly changing hands. So if you got something that's got good numbers and it's meeting your qualifications, then go for it. If it's not, then that's okay. It's not a failure. And I think that's what a lot of investors think in the beginning. They're just like, oh, I didn't get this deal and I'm a failure, whatever. You're not. It's just a matter of finding the thing that meets your numbers and your specifications, and going for it. And as long as you trust them and you've done your due diligence, then most of the time it works out. And any of that, like, by doing that, you're avoiding the major pitfalls. And the other small speed bumps that are in the road, you can navigate around them. It's not that hard. And by relying on groups like ADPI and other, like you said, the people around you and your network, and then tapping into other people's networks, it's not hard. Everything's figure outable. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I love that. I love that you guys are going after this. So you're going after this quad. You're moving to Alaska. You got 4 kids. You got this going on. You're gonna set up an Airbnb. This is incredible. And you started this, Kaitlyn. When did we start?
I started the military maids business not last Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving before. So, oh my gosh, it's been a minute. So yeah, it's been about almost a year and a half-ish. Yeah. So okay. It's been a couple of years, and I just jumped into real estate this last year. So that was our first jump and our first plunge. So.
All right. So you've only been in real estate then for a year, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. That's amazing. A year, and you got your first property, and you're going after a quadplex. Do you want to know how many people don't do that? You're crushing it.
Well, I got a lot of hope listening to different podcasts saying, like, I bought my first, home, and then I went and bought a storage unit. I was like, wait, what? You did what? And then I started YouTubing these people, and I'm like, wait, you're 21 and you have a self storage unit? Like, why can't I do that? And honestly, it's just being around people. It's like said time and time again. But the thing is that whenever someone would say on a podcast, like, you are the sum of the five closest people to you, I was always like, I know that, but how do I find the people who are going to help me? And that's what these groups are for. So if you are like me, who's heard that from a million podcasts, go find the group, because I didn't know how to find that community. And like, yes, you have a group of friends that are amazing. I like something that Brian Lubin said. He said that they're not getting kicked out of the car. They're just sitting in the back of the van. You bring your friends to the front of the van, and then you have some friends that are kind of sitting in the middle seat or in the back seat. They're still a part of your party. They're just, you have other people that you're focusing on more. And that's what you need to do, because that's going to accelerate your success and honestly make you happy. Because I honestly been pretty miserable a lot of my mom life. I've been like so into money, so into finance, but I'm like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. How do I do this? How can I do both? I want to do both because my cup is getting filled by doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I finally created that environment in my life, I'm a better mom, I'm a better spouse, and I am a really good business person now. And so I'm really excited about all these things. And it's diving into what you're passionate about. If you don't like where you're at now, change it. You can literally change it. And I feel happy where I'm at now.
That's incredible. I think guys, you're listening to this podcast, go do yourself a favor and rewind the last 60 seconds of that and listen to that again. Because what Kaitlyn dropped is so important, so relatable. And honestly, Kaitlyn, I thank you, because I think you just inspired thousands of people listening to this right now. So that is awesome. I love that. We are, unfortunately, running short on time, Kaitlyn. So I got to take you to the bonus round. It's the same 4 questions that I ask each and every guest on the podcast. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. All right. Question number 1. What book or software has really helped you crush it lately?
I am working on Miracle Morning for parents and families, not just the normal Miracle Morning. It has the parents and families. I'm implementing my Miracle Morning, doing, scriptures, meditation, journaling, and then spending about 30 minutes on my projects. And then when I go into the kitchen, I have the time to be happy with my kids, have fun. And then we also do Miracle Morning with my kids, which, we have them check off 2 things off the box. They make their bed, they say their prayers. Awesome. Now they've checked off 2 things for the day. So that's the book I suggest right now. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. And Hal Elrod has been on the show. I don't remember what episode number, but he had one of the most incredible interviews I've ever had. Just getting to talk to Hal and hear his story and the genesis of just the Miracle Morning, and now it's spun off into so many different amazing books. So that's incredible. Question number 2: Who's your biggest hero and why?
My biggest hero and why? I'm gonna have to say my husband. Might sound cheesy, but he seriously, like, he goes to work. He's, in Captain Career course, and then he comes home and he plays with the kids. He plays with the kids. He has fun with them. He wrestles. He watches rugby with them, and he's happy. Like, that's honestly, happiness is, we're all seeking after happiness these days. And the fact that he can find joy, even though he doesn't super love, the course he's going through, and, it kind of gets boring sometimes. Military life kind of gets, you have your highs and lows. You have your highs when you're, PCSing, able to do fun things with the family, and you have your lows when your husband's in the field for a week or a month or a year or whatever, it might be. So I love that he's happy and optimistic despite what challenges he may have.
Yeah, I totally understand. You're right. We're all in the pursuit of happiness, right? And I think you kind of alluded to it earlier when you were talking about, doing the things that fulfill you, that fill your cup. And no matter whether you're a stay-at-home mom or, which is a full-time job in itself, or you have a full-time job, like, do the things that makes you happy in life. That's really what it's about. It's not about making money and flying around in a private jet, because if you ain't happy, you don't got any friends, who are you going to be flying around your private jet? Where the hell are you going to be going? It doesn't make any sense. So be happy. I love that message. Question number 3 for you. What do you like to do for fun?
It's so funny because, like, what I like to do for fun is work stuff. But if I'm talking about not work stuff, I do like to do family trips. We'll go to the beach, we'll hang out, we'll have fun. We do like to budget and travel. We think that's important to, yes, cool, we're making money, but let's not miss the opportunities. And so, we'll do Disney because half off. Hello, military members, half off at Disney. And we'll do Disney. We'll stay at affordable hotels. We probably travel, I want to say every like 2 to 4 months, we'll do a family trip, be it one day, be it 7 days. And we really prioritize that family togetherness time. So that'd probably be travel.
That's really cool. That's awesome. All right. We're rounding out the bonus round here, Kaitlyn. It's arguably the most important question that I ask each and every investor or guest who shows up on this podcast. If you had 3 nuggets to share with someone who they may be listening to this and they are that stay-at-home mom, or they are that military spouse, or maybe they're they're trying to bring their spouse on board with them or their partner on board with them, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you be able to share with them?
One is that if you are doing the Dave Ramsey, you're putting money into the stock market, think in your head, what money can I afford to take out of that to invest in myself? Because if you can invest in yourself, you're going to 10x what you're going to put back into the stock market. I wish I would have done that years ago. So invest in yourself. That is the number one step. You and your spouse figured out, invest in yourself. Nugget number 2 would be to accelerate your speed. Surround yourself with people who will help you. Network, of course, but also be feeding your mind. If you are driving to work every day, if you're in the military, put on a podcast. Put on a podcast on your way home from work. If you're a stay-at-home mom and you're cleaning the house, put on a podcast. Because if you're absorbing all this material, chances are you're going to make something happen. And your life's not going to ever be the same. So feed your mind good things all the time. And then my 3rd nugget would be to not forget to have fun. As a military family, life can get so stressful. It can get really painfully stressful when your spouse is gone. And so to do the things that bring you joy, for me, it's putting on Peter Cetera, Chicago radio, and dancing with my kids in the kitchen. Don't forget to have fun, because that's actually what life's all about. We're always trying to escape to other things, but have fun where you're at with your family.
Yeah. I love that. Everything that you shared right there, from investing in yourself, finding your community, finding that mastermind, and, shameless plug alert, guys, ADPI has three different masterminds, 1 to 4 units. If you want to get into that, if you want to get into short-term rentals, we got the Military Short-Term Rental Academy. If you want large commercial 100+ unit syndication, self-storage facilities, multifamily, we got you there too, Military Multifamily Academy. So all of these were born out of having conversations with people like Kaitlyn who are like, man, I wish I could learn more about this. Okay, cool. We're the community. We're going to answer. We're going to build that out for you. So that is there. I love that aspect. And then, investing in yourself, but not forgetting to have fun. That is what life is about. And then just, having that time to do the mind feeding and everything like that. It's crazy. Like, there's a lot of people who listen to podcasts, right? Even this podcast, there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast. But in general, if you went, I mean, everyone listening right now, you're a podcast listener, right? If you went and just polled your friends, I bet maybe 30% of them listen to podcasts in general, maybe. And I'm not saying that like all the podcasts are super educational. There's like true crime, there's comedy, there's a whole billion different genres of podcasts. So like not everyone is going to be like quote unquote mind feeding. But if you can find one that you like, or you can just share this podcast or other podcasts, an educational podcast that you like with your friend, you could literally be, you might be the catalyst that lights the light bulb that changes their life. I have that person in my life. Shout out to Ray Northcutt. I see you, brother. You were the dude who lit the light bulb in my head and got me to where I am today. So having that person is incredible. And you can be that person by just sharing this podcast, I don't care. Just encourage your friends to constantly improve themselves. And you'll never know where you end up. So Kaitlyn, Thank you so much for being on the show. This was absolutely incredible. For folks who are listening to this show right now and they want to get in touch with you, they want to learn how to set up this cleaning business, or they want to learn how to, whatever, just get in contact with you and network, how can they do that?
I have my Military Maids Facebook page, or you can just reach out to me on Facebook. It's Kaitlyn Lamb McKay, or on Instagram. I'm not like, hey, follow me. I'm not any type of bigwig whatsoever. But if you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to help. If you're scared about getting started on a business or with real estate, I'm going to light that fire for you, and you're going to make stuff happen because life's too short to live in fear.
Oh my God, I couldn't end a podcast episode any better. Life's too short to live in fear. You heard it here first from Kaitlyn McKay. Kaitlyn, thank you so much. This has been awesome, guys. Her DMs are open. Ask her questions. Get network. I tell each and every episode, I'm like, if you're listening to this, you're doing yourself a disservice by not following up with these guests. They're literally opening up their contact cards. They want to network with you. Just reach out, send a message. You never know where a 15, 20-minute phone call will go. And it's super incredible. That's what makes the active duty passive income community as strong as it is. And that's what keeps it growing. And that's what we love about helping out our military brothers and sisters. So thank you so much, Kaitlyn. And I guess we'll see you in Alaska.
Will do. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time.
See ya.